Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're doing a recap and review of Married at First Sight Unfiltered. Where do we go from here with Jake, Paige, and Brianna? So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash that like button and drop a comment down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So, as I stated, Jamie get to speak with Brianna, Paige, and Jake, and they're talking about what happened in last week's episode. So, we first start off by getting to take a look at the clip where all the tea was spilled between the wives and about their marriages. And this is where we see Haley, she's saying that she's having a hard time trying the idea to cuddle with Jake and kiss him. And, she doesn't feel like there's a romantic connection. And Brianna, she said that, it might just be, come to a point where you like his personality and grow attraction. Well, Jake was asked about what he thought about Haley's describing him here. And he said it's kind of ironic because the whole cuddling thing that we saw in a previous episode was actually a joke. And that they were talking about spooning and she doesn't, get his kind of humor. And that's been challenging for him at the same time. And it's weird. And all he can try to do is communicate with her, or he tries to, with humor. So Jamie asked about the task that Dr. Viviana gave him and Haley to kiss every night and every morning and how that's going. And he said that the kissing has not been happening and that he could tell that even though he was comfortable to engage, she wasn't. And if she wasn't receptive to it, kind of waiting for her to maybe come around and be comfortable, that's all that he can do at this point. So now Jamie switches over to Paige about Chris buying his ex a new car, and this is where we see the clip. And she brought up the fact that he did this without consulting Paige, and then we see where why did he buy her a Benz, and he said that he's bringing a king or a queen into the world, and that the child needs to be in a chariot. And of course, we did see Paige, kind of roll her eyes a bit. But Jamie says, do you feel like he's being more of a husband to his ex than you? And Paige said, that's definitely a tough pill to swallow. We haven't really shown any real level of love languages and the incapacity for him to do so, but do this for the mother of his child is so disheartening. Because I was just like, well, when are you actually going to show up for our marriage? So back over to Jake, Jamie asked, the advice that the experts gave you, do you think they will positively affect your marriage? And he said, well, in the moment, the message was good to hear and helpful, but we've had so many issues so far executing on that stuff, actually having progress, and whether we're going to grow from it, we don't know. And that's pretty much where we are at this point. And, with Jamie and Haley, it's just not working. I just think that she doesn't find a connection with him. I don't know about the attraction issue. She says she isn't. But, there's just no connection there with these two. So this is where Jamie introduces the next clip of Chris and Paige and mentioned that when it comes to their marriage, they're starting from ground zero, and how she says she's a little confused about where this is even heading. And this is where we see the clip where both Chris and Paige are at the gym, and where we hear Paige says, I feel like I'm literally learning a stranger right now. And these are the kind of conversations and interactions I wish we had at day one. And I appreciate the fact of us hanging out today and spending time like this. And Chris was like, well, I'm not trying to quit right now or anything. And that's just where I'm at. So, they started, as you guys remember, a reset, starting out as friends. And, it seemed to be doomed, because one thing that Jamie does bring up based on the clips that we saw at this point, Chris has already told her that he wants a divorce. But she asked him, do you really think that he's going to try to make this marriage work? And she said, well, no, no, he initiated trying to give this friendship, marriage, whatever, another shot. So at this point, I could only be receptive to what he actually tells me. And Brianna's statement is like, because she was asked to chime in, she was like, do I really have to answer that? She said, I think Paige has put her all into it, and he keeps letting her down each time. I hate to see her sad because of his actions. And in my opinion, it's an opinion. And it's just like ASS is, everybody got one, including me. And we've definitely seen a plethora of opinions across the board when it comes to Chris and Paige, whether it's on social media or on, the show. So then Jamie asked Jake, Dr. Viviana tasked Paige and Chris to start over in their friendship. Do you think that you and Haley can benefit for something like that? And he said, obviously it could help. See each other in a different light, especially when you're enjoying activities together. I guess it's just a matter of finding both participants being willing to plug into it, and have that experience. And so now Jamie asked Paige if you could take away all of the drama that happened between you and Chris and just think about the chemistry. Is he someone that you can actually envision spend the rest of your life with? Paige said, it's kind of hard to take away all of that. We haven't really been leaning on each other as much as we should have. So to be honest, it's kind of hard to say that there's any chemistry there because there's been so much that has tested the marriage from the very, very beginning. And we definitely have been seeing the ups and downs in their particular marriage experiment. So now it's back with Jake, and Jamie talks about the fact that you can't have wine and magic to make all your problems disappear, but you can hire a tarot card reader. And this is where we see the clip of Jake and Haley talking to a tarot card reader, and the tarot card reader says that, Haley has a tendency to want to control the situation. And she actually agreed to that, the fact that, her like to being in control, it made sense to her. And then this is where Jake says, you're in a pace car and you want to go at your own pace. And Jake says, so controlling that is kind of your way. But, he's definitely saying that he's trying to open up. Jamie asked him, what was your thoughts on the first tarot card reading? And he was like, I wasn't used to it. I mean, she said some stuff definitely that made sense why the situation, what it was. But, I'm not going to go through my day, looking at my moon cycle, my life direction. And Jamie says, what about Haley? Do you think the experience helped her? And Jake was like, she took this way more seriously than I did. That's why she was really surprised when our moon cycles lined up and our life paths and everything. I don't see it, but the thing is, he's just hoping from what he says that this all just work out. And, the fact that it was rare that they had the same moon cycle, according to the tarot card reader, that those two might have hope to work after all. Brianna was like, her take on it is she thought it was a lot of fun. She's never had a tarot card reading, but she would be open to it. And then Paige said that, she would also be open to it because it would definitely get another opinion on some things. And I'm looking like, yeah, you don't need a tarot card reader to tell you you're not connecting. So Jamie asked Jake, at this point, you've got a lot of guidance from various type of experts. Are you putting any of this stuff into action? Jake says, I think we try. It's just been tough for us to try to find common ground and connect so far, but we've been trying. It's just with no success. So Jamie says there's no amount of tarot cards that's going to fix what's coming up with this whole scene with Paige and Chris. And this is where you see Chris saying, I can't focus on building what we have because you won't answer the freaking phone. The reason why, because every time we get here, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I call you 5-7 times. You don't answer the phone. I feel like that's rejection and that we're at a dead end. And the thing is that, of course, Paige is like, well, I'm trying to work on this. And then the other thing is about being one way off camera and being one way on camera when it comes to the situation. So, and I've seen some conversation in social media about this where maybe Paige is, doing opposite of what we think she's doing. I don't know. But then Jamie comes back talking about she have a hard time holding her tongue when it comes to Chris. But to be honest, how are you feeling when Chris says the marriage is a dead end? And she said that she's more frustrated with herself for opening myself up again to the possibility of us really trying to give this marriage a fair shot, to be honest. And Jamie talks about the fact that Chris calls her out for being different on and off camera. And what's the story behind that? And so she said, oh my gosh, I had to fall back from some form of the communication off camera, because I'm like, if we can't get on the same page when we're filming or documenting, I don't feel comfortable having any more conversations off camera, which is protecting her emotional and mental well-being. And then Jamie asked, do you think Chris is trying to blame you for the marriage not working? And she said, yeah, she feels rather that he feels rejected for me not answering a couple phone calls. And she said, let's keep it a stack. You know, I've been feeling rejected since day one. And I'm not saying I'm giving him a taste of his own medicine, because I don't operate like that. But enough is enough. And if you really want to be married, you're going to show up for the marriage. The thing is that I don't think I'm not saying either one of them don't want to be married. I just think that they don't want to be married to each other. I mean, she's trying, but he's definitely checked out, I think. And then with Brianna, what does she think about what Chris is saying? And she said there's a lot of stuff coming out of his mouth, but she don't really hear anything. And there's nothing really to be said in her opinion, but she's glad to see that it looks like Paige is getting frustrated with him. And she says that, of course, everybody else is getting frustrated with him, but it's just hard to watch. And Brianna says enough is enough. Now it's time for Jake to chime in on this clip. And Jake said he is fundamentally screwed up on so many ways as he is conducting himself. And what you've done to her in the past how many ever weeks, then you're going to come on here and you're missing some phone calls. It's like, come on, what world we live in. I know that I'm still trying to figure it out here, and I'm on a different planet, but, you know, it just doesn't make sense to him. And I was wondering whether Jake was going to say anything, because there's been this back and forth thing on social media between him and Chris, and it started from the first Unfiltered that Jake did and said what he said about Chris and buying whatever car. So I was wondering what he was going to say, and Jamie was like, yeah, say how you really feel. So now they talk about the 1 month anniversaries, and Brianna goes first, and this is where we see the clips of both her and Vincent watching their ceremony. And they talk about how happy they are and everything, and seeing themselves in the moment at the wedding. And of course, Jamie asked, how do you feel about seeing your wedding 1 month later? And she was like, oh, it is so cute, in her little baby voice. It is so, so cute. It feels good to see where we started from that base and where we are now. We've gotten to know so much about each other, and we're still learning more and more every day, and it just makes her happy. This is where Jake asked about his attire, saying he looked like a boat captain. And did he actually pick that out himself, or is that his clothes? And they showed a picture of it, and Brianna was like, yep, that's in his closet. That's what he was wearing. And so Jamie asked Jake, Jake, are you surprised that you and Haley have made it this far? How are you feeling about the 1 month mark? And he says that he's more surprised that we have made whatever real progress. We do get more comfortable with each other in certain ways, but then we'll have some sort of disagreement or a spillover and then take 2 steps back. And it comes to a point that that's our rhythm now. And so we're almost like waiting for the next fight to happen. And the experience has just not turned out the way that he hoped. And Paige said that she learned a lesson about herself, which is to choose herself. She fell in love with the idea of marriage so much that she lost herself in the process. Living with these moments, reliving them, have been kind of more of an awareness for her and the things that she would not tolerate. So Brianna was asked that same question about what she's learned. And Brianna said that she's learned that she can't get her way all the time because she was so used to it. She's been by herself. She did everything for herself, but she wanted somebody that she could lean on, and she's learned, and she's continuously learning how to do that. So now it switches over to Jake and Haley celebrating their 1-month anniversary, and they talk about the whole attraction thing. Jake said it's very awkward for him to try to approach her, knowing, you know, that she feels that way about him. It seems like she looks past him, and we keep ending up back at the same place. And of course, Haley is like, I don't know, I'm just, you know, where we're going to go from here, I don't have much to give. So Jamie asked him, you know, this attraction issue comes up pretty much in every conversation. Do you think it would help your relationship if you focus just on getting to know each other without bringing this up? And, you know, Jake says the problem is she's gone as soon as we're done, like without any activities for the day. Then she starts to throw these other narratives at me, and I'm not trying, or something like, you're telling me you don't want the heavy stuff. You don't want to connect with me. You don't know, you know, what you want. Then there's like, how do I pick and come up with an idea that's productive for the both of us, you know? And it's confusing to him. And I could totally understand that. I mean, but she has her walls up. Jamie asked Paige, you know, I'm going to bring you in. Do you think Jake is affecting his marriage with talking about this? And she says that she could see a level of discomfort for both parties. She believes attraction grows over time. Sometimes you got to peel back certain layers and find some common ground and some common interest and build from there. Jake was like, well, I already know, you know, that attraction can build over time, but she's the one that seems to be very upfront about this. And, you know, hey, I don't look like a cartoon caveman from Iceland or something. You know, I feel that I'm pretty attractive. But, I mean, it should be natural. It should be no big deal. You know, I'm not ugly, but screw it. That's, you know, that's the fact that it is. And the thing is, it's just not working with these two. But Jamie now talks to Paige about looking back at her 1 month. And Paige said, you know, it's pretty much bittersweet at this point. I mean, we see the clips where she was looking back at her and Chris's wedding ceremony and looking back at some of the pictures that they had. And she was saying that, you know, pretty much that at the end of this, she had to choose herself. And I know that that's something that each and every one of us, anytime, whether it comes to a working relationship, a personal relationship, you have to choose yourself first, you know, to protect your mental health. You know, health is your wealth nowadays, you know, so that's something that is extremely important. And Jamie asked her, you know, what did she thought, you know, about that looking back. It's bittersweet for her. Paige says she really wanted this and it didn't happen for her, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't happen for her in the future. So she's just going to keep trying to be hopeful for what's to come. Just watching the wedding, Jamie asked, does it make you want to resolve things with Chris? And she said, you know, we gave it a good fight. I think it's best as we take time for healing and self-reflection so we can grow and prepare and position ourselves for the next right partner, for the next person. I think that's all that we can do at this point. And of course, Jamie said that makes perfect sense. Then it shifts over to Jake. He said that he expected some sort of chemistry, some sort of base to build on and have some commonalities, but, you know, we had fall back and we just haven't had that. And then as for Brianna, she said her experience, the expectation did meet reality. I knew we were going to have ups and downs for sure, but it's all about how you work through it. And that is so true. And, you know, the communication is so key with this. And Jamie asked Paige, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of emotions running through your head at this point. How are you feeling now that things between you and Chris are officially over? And she says that she's filled with a lot of weird emotions and thoughts right now, a lot of heavy emotions and disappointed. I think for someone that came here with pure intentions like myself, that really desired marriage and took a big leap of faith, you know, everything that you do in life is a risk. But I wish that, you know, we could have been different and had a different tune at this point. And that's my current reality. And so she wished her nothing but the best. So in summary, you know, with Jake and Haley, I honestly believe that there's a disconnect. She has her walls up. She's not attracted. She has no chemistry with Jake. At this point, they're just waiting to end this thing. As regards to Chris and Paige, she says she's choosing herself, but we've also seen the end of the season clip where it's an I'm not sure, and she talks about how great Chris is with his expressing himself. So that's going to be interesting. It's one thing to say one thing and then we see something else. As for Brianna and Vincent, they're going to be fine. They're doing great. They just have to continue to work in the marriage and do for each other. So we'll definitely see what happens down the line with the next few episodes left. Let's do our post notification shout out. If you want to be shouted out, drop a comment down below. I will see you and shout you out. This first one goes to Teresa Rush. Thank you as well for your comment. I really appreciate it. And then last but not least, Shirley Castleberry. Thank you as well for your comment. I really appreciate the engagement in the channel. So until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you very soon.